Hello everyone, my name is Cameron, and I'm going to be demoing my particle system that I use to create fireworks in OpenGL. So we start out in this empty scene, and if you hit the return key, it will start to spawn randomly rockets that will explode into fireworks. So as you can see, all the fireworks are randomly generated particles. They have random colors. They also have a flicker effect as their lifetime comes to an end, and they also slow down as their lifetime comes to an end. And so if you hit the gravity key or the G key, we can apply gravity to fireworks. And as you can see now in these fireworks that are spawning, the particles start to fall to the ground as their life ends. And so if you hit a bunch, you can see all the fireworks spawn together. And if you hit the F key, it will restore the previous non-gravity effect. And then what we also have in this program is a full mouse look effect and a move effect that you can control with the arrow keys. So you can get up close to all the fireworks if you want to. Okay, so if we hop into the code, you can see it all starts in the STL graphics program, which is structured very similarly to what we have seen in the past. And what happens is if you hit the return key, it will call this generate rocket function. And if we go into this particle system class, which is in charge of generating rockets, generating fireworks, and also emitting particles, we can see that we have this generate rocket function that will spawn a rocket, also known as a particle, at a random location in the scene, and then it will give it a velocity directly up, and it will give it a life length as well, and a random, well, not a random color here, but basically it will just add this particle to the particle manager class, which is in charge of managing, holding, updating, rendering all of the particles. And so if we go to the particle manager class, we can see that it holds a renderer, which is used for rendering all of the particles. And it has this function update particles, which will be called every loop of the STL graphics program to update all the particles that this manager keeps track of. In this function, we can see that we update the math of the particle. And so if you go to this function here, we can see that we update all of the fields and the internal state of each particle, such as how long it's been alive for, its velocity, its position, etc. And it will return whether or not that particle is still alive. And if the particle is no longer alive and it is a rocket, then we know that we need to spawn a firework from the place that it was last. And that's done down here with this generate firework function, which we can see if we go to the definition back in the particle system class, that will just spawn random particles in all directions from a single system center. And if we go back to the particle manager class, we can see that if it is not a rocket, we just want to erase the particle. And if it's still alive and it should have a trail, then we want to spawn a particle at the location it was last. That's only going to be alive for a very short period of time. And that is going to give us the trailing effect. And so, yeah, that's the basic overview of the program. Some technical challenges that I faced were generating the rockets and syncing the rockets to the fireworks and knowing when to spawn the firework and how long to allow the rocket to shoot up in the air. And so getting that to sync up was a really great thing. Another challenge that I faced was in the textures of the particle. I wanted to create particles that looked realistic. So if you look here, you can see that these are just PNG files and they have transparent backgrounds, and that took a little while to figure out how to do that. But I think that it gives a really great effect, and it was definitely worth all the effort. And as you can see, when you spawn a ton of particles at once, the performance starts to suffer, but it looks really cool. And yeah, so if we go back here, and it just updates and renders as we go. But thank you so much for listening.